depending on context, is either Johnny or John. Some listeners may think a more material issue concerning people has to do with gender. Say, for a very few lesser characters, this saga has an all-male cast. This is a reflection of the era, and not of any authorial bias. Finally, a comment on memory. Interviews are great for color and for a sense of personality, but even those conducted much closer to the events described here, those compiled by the Columbia University Oral History Project, for instance, or by the excellent architectural historian Caro Krinsky, are flawed by that most unreliable of research tools, memory. Contemporary documents, however, are precise. When I've encountered a conflict of facts, either I point it out in context or go with the one that seems to me, after 6 years' immersion in this project, to be accurate. In a jump ball, the document almost always wins. D.O., New York, March 2003. Prologue. May 21st, 1928. All the men entering the gleaming marble hall of the Metropolitan Club had arrived at Fifth Avenue and 60th Street on the wings of their wealth. The guest list was a roll call of New York's richest: corporate titans Marshall Field, Clarence Mackay, and Walter P. Chrysler; Wall Street operators Jules S. Bache, Bernard Baruch, and Thomas Lamont; various Lehmans and Whitneys, Guggenheims and Warburgs; men whose very surnames provided all the definition they needed. Financier Otto Kahn was there, for Otto Kahn was ubiquitous in New York if opera was on the agenda, as it was on this balmy night. But an interest in Verdi or Wagner was not the primary qualifier for inclusion on the invitation list. According to a young architect named Robert O'Connor, whose father-in-law was scheduled to be the featured speaker, the evening's host had simply invited everyone he knew who had more than $10 million. Not all of them belonged to the Metropolitan Club, but there was no better venue for a convocation of the New York plutocracy. J.P. Morgan had founded the Metropolitan in 1891, after his friend John King, president of the Erie Railroad, was blackballed by the Union Club. Morgan said it was an act of spite. Others insisted that certain members were offended by King's dreadful table manners. Morgan's stature had guaranteed a membership distinguished not solely by heredity or by financial success, but by an unprecedented confluence of both. By 1928, the Metropolitan membership included 2 Vanderbilts, 3 Mellons, 5 DuPonts, and 6 Roosevelts. It also included 3 men who were parties of interest to the evening's proceedings. One was the host, an aristocrat named R. Fulton Cutting, known to some as the first citizen of New York. Another was Nicholas Murray Butler, president of Columbia University and a member of the Metropolitan's Board of Governors, who knew that the future of his institution was to a large degree dependent on the evening's outcome. The third was Ivy Ledbetter Lee, a preacher's son from Georgia, representing the man who, even in his absence, was the lead player in the evening's drama. No one expected John D. Rockefeller, Jr. to attend the meeting at the Metropolitan Club that Monday night, and he didn't disappoint. He wasn't much of a clubman, generally preferring to spend his evenings at home in his 9-story mansion on West 54th Street. Just the night before, he and his wife Abby had welcomed to a typical family supper another Ivy League client, Colonel Charles Lindbergh, a simple, unostentatious, clean-cut, charming fellow, Rockefeller wrote. Rockefeller usually sought to insulate himself from the endless entreaties for access to the family treasury, and the Metropolitan Club event was clearly in that category. He got a lot of invitations of this kind, and almost always chose to deputize one of his associates to serve as a sort of scout. Oddly, in this instance, the scout, Lee, was collaborating with the supplicants.